Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what that sound means? It means we have some UFC Apex fights coming up in just under 30 minutes. Yes, UFC Vegas 76 with the main event of all main events in the middleweight division. Sean Strickland, Magomedov, the fight that everybody asked for, the fight that everybody's been clamoring for. And there could be actual stakes to this one. We'll see how it all plays out, but the card's going to kick off in about 28 minutes from right now. And until then, we're just going to answer your questions the entire time because this is the People's Pre-Fight Show. I am Mike Heck, and spinning the ones and twos and probably his chair, joining me, Casey Leydon, the baddest stash in MMA.
Whoa.
And he hit the mic. Mysterious Frank is losing his mind right now. What's up, man? How are you?
Good. Hold on. Fix your head. There you go.
Yes. I look taller.
Yeah.
I look taller. So yeah, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna answer your questions. It could be about UFC Vegas 76. It could be about other things happening in MMA. It could be about things happening in the social media world, like the suckiness of Twitter. It could be about whatever the hell is on your mind.
What is that? What is that whole thing on Twitter? But oops, you're not allowed to only 600 posts. You can only read 600 things a day or something. What is this?
Yeah, because you don't have unless you're a Twitter Blue subscriber, then you can read like 6,000 to 8,000.
Oh, okay.
So it's just like, give me your money so you can read more tweets. Otherwise, you can only read 600. You minions. So dumb.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah.
Sign to fight him, Zuckerberg, please. Now I just want to see it. I just want Zuckerberg
now we're just annoyed
for the world to see. Just do the world a favor. Make it quick. Make it easy. Just twist that man into a pretzel and put the freaking platforms on the line. Like anybody. Like I'll even have Zuck run Twitter at this point, for the love of God.
All right. Questions. All right.
And happy Canada Day. Yes. Happy Canada Day to my best friend, A.K. Lee, to our colleague, Ariel Hawani, and all the Canadians out there, all of you watching who are from the Great White North, our neighbors up north. We salute you. Happy Canada Day.
All right.
Forrest Daniels, who has the most to gain with a win on this card? What do you think? I think it's pretty to me, it's Strickland pretty easily.
I'll say if the main event winner, if it's in spectacular fashion. Strickland, obviously, with a dominant win and hopefully an exciting finish alongside a war in terms of both fighters get injured in the sense of next week with Whitaker and DDP. Yeah, Strickland could be the biggest winner on this card for sure. And I think his second place would be Abus. I don't think he gets a title shot no matter what he does, but with a big win, he could be one win away from possibly a title shot. And I don't really see anyone else on the card that is within one or two fights away from a title in their division. So, yeah, I would say Strickland and then a close second with Abus, depending on how they win.
I think Strickland just needs to win and say something. Just say something compelling that they can clip off. And that's all he's going to need. Again, this, like, even the winner of this doesn't, Strickland's in the driver's seat if he wins. If he wins and says something nutty and makes headlines, he will be in the driver's seat to fight Izzy in September. Now, obviously, that could change in a week if Whitaker and DDP have a fight where the winner doesn't come out, like where the winner comes out completely unscathed. Then he's out of the driver's seat and probably not even on the same highway anymore. But at least he'll be in a great position if he wins this fight and just does Sean Strickland type things. Abus, I'm curious how they will proceed with him. It would be a nice win. He's in the mix, but
He'll be a nice win. It'll be an incredible win. It'll be a top. I'm sorry. It'll be like a top 5. What is Strickland ranked in the UFC right now? Top 5, right?
No, he can't
No.
be. Top 5? Is he top 5?
Well, if he's going
He's 7, so he'll be a top 10 guy.
Okay.
But Brendan Allen will have more buzz. Like, it's just a win. Like, I don't know. I'm curious to see how the UFC will move forward with him, honestly.
You said Brendan Allen will have more buzz, but this defeating Sean Strickland just based on ranking alone, it would be a much bigger win than anything Brendan Allen's even had close to. I mean, is Brendan Allen being a top 10 fighter? Is he faced a top 10 fighter? Am I forgetting something? What am I?
I'm trying to think. Let me just pull up his. He's won 5 in a row, and he's beat good dudes.
But he hasn't been a top 10 guy. He hasn't faced one.
Sam Alvey, Jacob Malkoon. He's won the middleweight title. Andre Muniz I think Andre Muniz is a pretty good win.
Was probably top 10 one. You're right. That's the thing. Andre Muniz is probably considered a better win, and maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It's like just beating Sean Strickland, ranking alone should be super impressive. But for some reason, maybe we're not seeing it that way. I don't know. Like you don't think beating someone
think it's
number
just a
7?
Fight. It's just this fight. It's just so random. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So I don't think there's like a lot of buzz. But I think people are just looking at Strickland to be like, well, at least Izzy and him will like have press conferences that people write articles about. Because they'll just say a bunch of dumb stuff. And they have like everything that happened last year before International Fight Week, though, that press conference of those two guys going back and forth. So they already have like footage ready to like sell a fight. But again, if Whitaker DDP go out there and Whitaker just flatlines DDP or cruises to an easy 30-27 next week, then it's all for naught anyways. So I'm not really sure where they go with Abus. Maybe Abus gets the Roman Dolidze main event fight in September. Maybe he gets that spot, gets another main event opportunity.
Maybe it was Brendan Allen. Who knows?
Could do that. But I mean, Brendan Allen said he was offered Dolidze right after the Jacksonville win, and he said no. Because even though Dolidze is ranked higher, he feels he's, after winning 5 in a row against good guys, he should get the chance to fight the DDP Whitaker loser or somebody like that. So he's going to wait and see what happens there. I will throw another name in here. And I would say not only is he in this mix for the most to gain, but I think he actually has the most. You can make a strong case he has the most to lose on this card. It's Kevin Lee. It is Kevin Lee. This dude needs to show up. I'm not saying he needs to go out there and just destroy Fakhretdinov, but he needs to go out and have a fight. He needs to go out and get his stock up in some way, because this is, to me, even more so than the main event. Kevin Lee fighting today is the most intriguing thing on this entire card to me. I want to see what he looks like. Is the move to kill Cliff the right one? How is he going to look against a really good guy that is having a hard time getting fights? If he goes out there and just melts Fakhretdinov, that's huge, and he will gain a lot from this. But if he gets 30-26 out there, not a good look.
I'm gonna have to see how the fight goes. Yeah, I know what you're saying. That depending how that fight goes, yeah, it could be a big, like, oh my God, Kevin Lee is the next, like we could see him fight for a title in like within a year, or the fight goes bad. It could be the opposite end for Kevin Lee, like, oh, he's done as a legit talent in the sport. So it'd be interesting. But I think that back to the main event, this is such a weird main event. It's such a weird main event. You know, when I was thinking this yesterday, when AK is sometimes talking about how there's no real co-main event. It's just the last fight before the main event. I feel this card has no main event. It's just a lot. It's a good main card with no main event. There's a final fight of the night, but there's not a true main event.
There's like 3 co-main events, like 3 potential.
And I feel like Strickland Abus could be a good co-main event for a fight night.
Yeah,
this is the co-main event card.
And even the co-main event has questions, because I love the fight. Like, I love this fight on paper, but my issue, it's not even an issue. My question is, on Damir Ismagulov. Like, this is the guy who, after he lost to Sarukian, retired, and then like a week later came back from retirement and said, well, I have one fight left in my deal. I'm going to honor that commitment. Is he done after this? Like, is this his last fight? Is he going to try to make a run at the title? Is he going to try to get re-signed and get after it? Because if we're getting a motivated, I want to get to a title shot Damir, this fight is much more interesting to me than, well, it's my last one. Got to give it my all and just leave it out there against a guy who could gain a lot from beating Damir. So if we're getting a motivated, want to go on a run, get a re-sign and make a run up this division, Damir, then this fight's just absolutely rules. And I'm really excited for it. Again, this is another fight where I have questions and I have no idea what's going to happen. Like, what guy is actually going to show up tonight?
Wait, has he not ever showed up? I mean,
but this is a guy who retired and then said, well, I'm going to come back for one more because I have one fight left in my deal. And this is the one fight left.
I don't put too much weight into that. I think
I think a ton into it. If he's fighting like the 35th, if he's fighting Vince Pichel, no disrespect to Vince Pichel, then I don't think of it the same way. But he's fighting Grant Dawson, a guy who could fight for the title. So I just don't want to see. I just want both these guys at their best. Like, I want the best out of this fight. I want what everybody else wants. Two high level lightweights fighting and hopefully getting a chance to move up the ladder. It'll be a couple of years before they get where they want to be, but I just want like fully motivated guys who want to make a run. And then if we get that, this fight's tremendous.
I think we're great. I don't have any doubts on that. I think he was just a little too honest in his interviews about the retirement. That's all. I think a lot of fighters after wins or losses, sometimes they go, I'm done with this. And but then they get back.
Wasn't even an interview. He just like went on social and was like, I'm done.
Well, yeah.
And then his team didn't even know he was retiring. He just went on Instagram and retired. And then a week later was like, oh yeah, well, I do have one fight left, so I don't want to be the guy who leaves with only one fight left. So, I don't know. I hope this fight's good.
The fight that we haven't. I just want to talk. I can't wait for Guram. That's the guy I'm waiting for. I think Guram is actually the best lightweight on this card, but that's another issue. I thought Guram beat Damir. He's so inactive, but I'm a big fan of watching that man fight.
Did you think he beat Mateusz Gamrot?
It was super close. Either way, it was incredibly competitive. I think I thought Gamrot won that fight, but it was super competitive. Who was on short notice? It was Gamrot that was on short notice, right?
I think they both kind of were.
Are they both? Okay, I remember it was a weird fight to even happen. I was like, why is this fight even happening?
And Guram short notice in this one too.
Oh, he is? Oh, yeah. Well, as long as he made weight healthy, I think he's good.
Yeah.
I know nothing about that man. I just know like he's
the most he might be the most honest fighter in the history of the sport, because after that Gamrot fight, he's like, nah, I lost that fight. He deserved to win.
I love that.
Say that.
I so appreciate fighters that say that, like, I mean, or like at least they say it can go either way, honestly, like for close fights when they just say, oh, I dominated that fight. It's like, no, you didn't. I appreciate it. All right. Sorry.
I'm waiting for the Romanov Ivanov questions because I know they're coming.
All right.
Is Weston Wilson the biggest dog on the card? Who has a chance to win? Weston. Let me look at the lines. Weston's definitely the biggest dog on the card. Yes, plus 750 for Weston Wilson against Joernes Brito. I hate Weston's a really nice guy, and he's a very smart fighter, but he's not UFC level. He's just not. I think there's a lot of people who are around him who would probably say the same thing. This is not going to be a good night for him. It's just going to be a rough night against Joe Anderson Brito. So I don't know if
Why
we're looking.
is this a short notice fight? What's the story on this
It's a
gentleman?
short notice fight. Joannis Brito was booked against Hussein Ashkabov, which should have been a really good fight. And Ashkabov
Okay.
had to withdraw with an injury, so Weston Wilson steps in on short notice and takes the fight. And he is every bit
Oh,
of a plus 750 dog. Probably there's
yeah.
probably value. There's probably actually value on Brito at minus 1150 right now.
Oh, yeah. This is yeah. I haven't really looked too much into this fight, but now that I am looking at it, yeah, it's a tough fight for that gentleman. Um,
Is he? Is what's it? Is he asked like which underdog has the best chance to win? On top of that, this is there's a lot of dog value in this card. I think there's value on Kevin Lee. I
I
think
would go
there's.
Kevin Lee as far as the best value as a dog, just because.
I actually think there's value on Benoit Saint-Denis. Like I know Ishmael Bonfim like blew the doors off Terrence McKinney and he impressed a ton of people, but Saint-Denis looked great since going back to lightweight, and it's one of those things where this is recency bias taking on the worst moment of somebody else's career, because Saint-Denis took a fight on short notice up a weight class, got the doors blown off of him, and a referee that wouldn't stop a fight. So he got to show his toughness just oversized and up a weight class. But since going back to 55, he's won every fight. He's looked really good too. So I think there's some value there. I think there's value on Ariane Lipsky. I think that you could make a case for Max Griffin, although I think Michael Morales is just really good, but Max has just fought better guys.
Yeah, just higher experience against higher level competition. So,
And Grant Dawson as a dog. It's not a big dog, but he's plus 100. I think there's value there. There's a lot of dogs who have some value here.
that's what I mean. When I was talking about this card has no main event, like I actually like this fight night card a lot. It just doesn't have a main event. You know, a main event that has real stakes. Because like even the stakes for the main event, we don't really know the stakes until we see the fight next week between Whitaker and DDP. Then this fight tonight has a lot more stakes. But until we see next week's fight, it's just kind of a fight between a top middleweight and a prospect.
Yeah, and this is just what happens when you have so many cards. Like even Sean Strickland was like, "Look, they offered me a bunch of money to fight this dude, and nobody else. There's no other names on the list, so I'm gonna take the money and fight this dude." So I get it. And for Abus, it's just, didn't we have this conversation when they booked this fight? Is this the biggest? This has to be one of the like biggest steps up in terms of divisional rankings from one fight to the next that we've seen in a long time. Like to go from Dustin Stoltzfus in your UFC debut, who's probably
Top
the bottom 5 middleweight in the UFC, to the number 7 guy in a main event. Like even Alaskarov, he fought Phil Hawes in his debut, and now he's fighting Paulo Costa. Like that's a big leap, but not as big as this one going from Dustin Stoltzfus to Sean Strickland.
The only one I could think of is, and there's probably a couple other ones in between, is when Joanna Jędrzejczyk made her UFC debut against Juliana Lima, I think, who was, a strawweight. And then her next fight was against Claudia Gadelha, who was by most accounts considered the best strawweight, just the uncrowned champ, because I think everything was tied up with Tough at that time.
Yeah.
So she went from an unranked strawweight to what most people thought was the number 1 strawweight, Claudia at the time. So that's what I would compare it to. But in terms of going to a main event, yeah, this is up there as far as like when they announced this fight, I was just like, it's like, who is Abus? Why do I not know who this is? I just didn't know. I didn't know who he was. I had to, even when I kind of looked on Tapology at his record, I still couldn't remember who he was.
The way people like describe him, and the way like you have to tell people about him, or how people be like, "Oh yeah, now I know who that guy is." It's the guy that Luis Taylor knocked out in the PFL.
Yeah, that's actually how I remembered him from. Yeah, unfortunately for him, is like in his worst night of his career.
Yeah, he's good, man. Like he is good. He can win, but I honestly think this is one of those fights where if Abus doesn't get him out of there in like the first 7 minutes, Strickland's just gonna do Strickland things and win and just cruise.
It feels that way.
Yeah.
And I mean, unless Strickland just survives like a like a 10-8 beating, where he's just kind of surviving, But if it's competitive after the first 7 minutes, you would think that Strickland would take over toward the later rounds for sure.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting.
Yes, it's a weird one. All right, here we go.
If the UFC did what PFL did, do you think MMA media would have investigated more? I feel like the media dropped the ball with it, not having Ray Fasevo explain the decision with some pushback.
Have we had an opportunity to talk
like, what else do we need to do? We went to the commit. Like, we've reached out to PFL. PFL is not giving comments outside of what they said. We have reached out to both fighters involved in the fight. Neither of them have really spoken. I think one did, maybe Schulte did one interview. They will both be ready to speak. We reached out to management on both sides. We reached out to the commission, who is not investigating it. So, like, what else can be done? What else can be done here? Honestly, PFL is not talking. So the commission should be investigating this fight, and they're not doing it. They've chosen not to do it.
But should they be? Should they be? Why should they be? I mean, it was just a bad fight.
Why shouldn't they be?
Do they investigate every just boring fight? I'm asking.
I think this is different, though. I honestly think this is different. These are the corners weren't even cornering. Like, they're not even talking. There's nothing in the corners in between rounds. Like, it's just a weird fight.
That to me, that's fine. That's nothing against the rules on that. They're like, we have two teammates fighting. The corners decided, well, you're on your own out there, and like we see it all the time. Corners, coaches, I'm not involved in this training camp.
Then don't be there. Then don't be in the corner. And just be quiet. What are we doing here?
Isn't that what they were doing? Weren't they being quiet?
Yeah, they didn't do anything. So why even be there? Like, just don't even have corners. Just fight. Well, the whole thing is weird. Everybody's wrong, but the commission should at least be like, you know what, we're gonna take a look at this. Like, we're gonna take a look at it. We're gonna talk to everybody involved. And if they get nothing, then it's just nothing. But to just leave this, it's not the media dropping the ball, because we've reached out to everybody. That's it. Now, when the playoffs roll around, I would hope that there are people within the higher levels of the PFL brass who are going to get in front of microphones and answer questions about this, as well they should. But they feel like they've done nothing wrong, PFL. They feel like they've done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And to a lot of extent, they really didn't do anything wrong outside of matchmaking, but we don't even know what the fuck that looks like. We don't even know how they matchmake, because this isn't the playoffs. This isn't the tournament structure. They can matchmake however they want. So we just don't know what that involves and who is actually putting these fights together and who is really was there conversations about this before the fight? Did either of the fighters or their teams say to the PFL, like, dude, why are these guys fighting? Was there a conversation? Was there pushback? But again,
to me, PFL created this entire controversy by doing the whole switcheroo afterward. Because from what I read on Twitter, that I wasn't watching PFL live, but I was keeping up with it, that they're like, oh, boring fight happened. That was a crappy fight. And then the Shane Burgos fight happened. They're like, okay, guess Shane doesn't make the playoffs. And that was pretty much the end. And that was it. And that would have been the story. And
apparently that wasn't. Apparently both Schulte and Monfio knew before Shane fought that they were out. And Shane had no idea until he got home.
How did they not announce that in the freaking broadcast then?
I agree with you.
That's why I call it kind of BS on that. It's like, then why on the broadcast, why was it reported that on the actual broadcast, the PFL broadcast, which they produce, didn't mention it?
Maybe they want to see if Shane was even going to win before they mentioned it. It would add some intrigue to his fight, would it not? Oh yeah, breaking news as Shane's walking out. Both Monfio and Schulte are out. If Shane wins this fight, he's in. But maybe there would be backlash like during the fight. and it would be kind of I don't know, man. The whole thing's just a mess.
Yeah,
And honestly,
yeah.
Monfils should just been able to go on. Like,
yeah.
it just all looks weird. And Shane Burgos deserves no blame for this whatsoever. The dude's even Shane's out doing interviews being like, look, I deserve to be in the playoffs, but not more than Natan Schultz. So
yeah, Shane Burgos has zero to do with this controversy.
Zero.
Like, that's why his name doesn't need to be mentioned. Only in the sense that that the PFL spent good money on Burgos, and Burgos probably attracts more media attention and fan attention than the other fighters. So, but this isn't anything on Burgos. That's just who Burgos is. That's good for him, I guess. But as far as the situation,
and here's the thing: if this happened in the UFC, someone would have said something. Like Dana would have gone and answered questions about it, or Dana would have done like an Instagram live, or somebody would have come forward and answered questions about it. Like the fighters would have said something after the fight. Somebody would have spoken, but nobody's talking about this. Nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, is there even any sort of equivalence to this in the UFC? I'm trying to.
No, because they don't do tournaments or anything.
Yeah. No, I'm just.
Like this would be like if they did the ultimate, like if the next fight on the Ultimate Fighter just is a suck bag fight, and they go to the third round or whatever, and it's just awful, and Dana just is like, no, you guys aren't UFC ready, you're out.
Remember,
like that would be the equivalent.
I think it was last year, maybe a year and a half ago. There was a Russian promotion, and they were having such a horrible fight. And then I think the promoter came in before their fight ended and said, "Fight's done," like or I don't know, something like where he just said, "There's no winner," or whatever. Yeah. And then Dana was asked about that, and Dana said something interesting. I didn't think he said anything wrong. He said, "Oh, I would love to do that, but we don't." I would love to do that, and I think that's it's like he was like, "Oh, he's like, we can't. We got commissions," and Dana kind of said the right things, and that's why, yeah, I don't think UFC. For all the weirdness in the UFC, they've never done anything like this, which is good. So there's nothing really to compare.
Just really to answer the question, Timmy, like I know you're not like this wasn't a let's shit on the media question. I 100%. But I mean, we did what you're supposed to do. You reach out to all sides. You try to get a statement from all of them. You get responses. That's all you can do. You reach out to the commission. The commission doesn't want to investigate. I mean, that's it. The commission ain't going to investigate it. Then, like, what is there doing? There's just nothing really there. They feel like the fight's okay. Schultz got his win money, got paid what he was supposed to be paid, as did Monfils. That's it. That's it. But I would love to know more. I would certainly love to know more. And if the fighters want to talk about it, they certainly will. Hopefully we get Ray or even Don Davis talking about it. That'd be pretty cool, but they ain't saying shit.
Yeah. Like my thing at PFL, that if it was very high risk, but by the fighters fighting like that, which I think nothing illegal, but you are entertainers, prize fighters. So after the fight, the promotion can they can not resign you or whatever. Like I don't even know who lost the fight. I'm like who actually lost the fight? Yes,
Schultz won.
So they could release the loser, but I don't know. It's just.
I mean, right, these guys both won $1 million already, so
yeah,
they each won it.
That was kind of a funny question here.
Have you ever misreported anything? I misread a report thinking Holland versus JDM was official. I told my followers, and I feel awful about it. I'll apologize for it in my next video. Have we ever misreported anything?
What's your biggest boo-boo as a journalist? Like, I put that out too soon, or anything?
Well, I mean, it's yeah. Oh no. I have one on top of the mind. Remember all the bullshit that happened in September with UFC 279? There's the backstage press conference, and all hell broke loose, and Dana canceled the press conference. So everyone's trying to like reach out and figure out what happened, and somebody hit me up who was 1,000% backstage and told me that that Paulo Costa and Hamzat, like, they were the first two to like somehow Paulo Costa got backstage and him and Hamzat got into it, and then Costa was like removed, and then it went to Nate, to Holland, then it went to Nate, and then they canceled the press conference. And then somebody else who I also know was back there had put out the same kind of thing elsewhere. So we did a reaction show, and I said, somebody texted me and told me that Paulo Costa was part of it. Now, should I have like, and now you notice now, like when I do certain things like on shows, if there's something that like there's rumblings or whatever, I'll always preface it and be like, don't be like, oh, Mike Heck's reporting this or reporting that. Like you have to be careful when you do stuff like that. That's probably like the big one that I regret, because then it got taken kind of out of context. Some of the sites that don't actually dig into things that get a lot of follows and a lot of traffic will just kind of put it out there. Oh, well, Mike Heck said Paulo Costa slapped Khamzat Chimaev in the face, and that's how it started. And then like the next group is like, oh, Paulo Costa tried to swing a baseball bat at Khamzat Chimaev. It's like telephone, telegraph, tell an MMA fan, and it becomes this whole other thing. So that's probably like the biggest blunder. But when I get things like that, now I just make sure, like, don't be like, Mike Heck reported this. This is what I heard. This is what somebody who was there told me happened. This is not me reporting anything. So I learned a valuable lesson that day. But other than that, as far as like putting actual information out there, like fight news or things of that nature, not particularly that I can remember.
No big ones. All right.
Yeah, no big ones. And there is no opponent for JDM as of right now, by the way, just to let you know.
What a bummer.
Do you guys think these Apex events ruin the feel of the fights? Like Kevin Lee said during Media Day, the pandemic is over. No, I don't think the Apex, like they have no choice right now, Casey. Like this is the world we have to live in under this under this ESPN deal. You have to put on 43 cards. How many tickets do you think Sean Strickland versus Abus Magomedov is selling anywhere? Like, do you think this fight would sell a 3,000 person venue?
Yes.
In Vegas, maybe.
They don't need to sell everything out. They can sell 75% capacity. That's fine. It's just
right. But they're not going to put a show on if it's not going to sell. They're not going to sell tickets if they don't have to. Like,
but I think what Kevin Lee said, because like what you're taking away such a big part of the prize fighter experience is like, it's not just fighting. How do you deal with the lights? How do you deal with the crowd? How do you deal with the pressure? And they said, and like from what everyone says, these Apex events just feel like really until you actually start the fight. No, it doesn't feel like a fight. You know, like you want to. Like these guys are going on regional cards, and they have like much bigger crowds for regional cards. You know, like I agree with everything Kevin Lee said. Apex events, especially because there's no freaking fans. It's not. Put some more. I don't know. Figure a way to put more fans in there. Because even the fight, the grappling thing they did a couple of nights ago was at the Apex. It felt more. Yeah. That was at the Apex, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. It felt like there were more people there than there were at a UFC fight night. And it's the same building. I don't know. Like fill it up with families and stuff. They sell these $2,000 ticket packages to fans. Just give them to freaking family. So at least like the Contender Series shows that they feel like there's more at stake there because you have your families and friends there. Instead of just some random super fans who are just kind of, cool, we're here, We spent $2,000 for these seats. I don't know. You can still have a bill and be at the Apex, and UFC just kind of makes it, I don't know, just as boring as possible. But
I think they're going to expand the Apex. Like, I think they're expanding that room to, like, I'm pretty sure, like, there were talks about making it 1,000 like putting in so like 1,000 people could fit in there. That'd be perfect.
That's all you need. That's all you need. Remember when why can't I remember? When the UFC, they had an event down the street a couple of weeks ago. I think the Power Slap was taking the Apex. What was that? was the same
That was
night.
the Merab Dvalishvili
Merab.
Petr Yan card.
And that's in a relatively small venue, about 2,000 people. And who was it?
And it was
Merab versus.
awesome.
Yeah, it was so
Yan.
good. There wasn't that many people. There were a couple of thousand people. And that was actually kind of a biggish theater too. In the UFC Apex, 700 people in there, friends and family, not super fans who would just pay $2,000 to get a seat, but people who actually want to see fight fans that can, that don't have $2,000 for a fight night. Yeah, I get it. It sucks. I don't know why the UFC does. I mean, I know why they do it, because it's content for ESPN, and ESPN doesn't really care, and as long as it gets on the air. But
and their bottom line is like that they make so much money having cards at the Apex. So much money.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to pay a lot of the costs. Everything's in house. Like, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And then when they do sell tickets, they sell them at like a ridiculous price. Yeah. Like it's like unaffordable to go.
Unaffordable. That's what I mean. Like, so you don't actually get like the people at home watching this. Like, you guys, we can't afford tickets if we were fans to go to these. So you just get these kind of weird, rich super fans that just. All right.
Who replaces Henry Cejudo? It's a great question. Look.
Was that fight ever official? Did we report that fight? I mean,
yes.
I'm still confused on that. So Henry
both
Cejudo
sides are in.
So Cejudo signed a contract for it knowing he was injured, or he just thought he could get through the injury? Is that the deal?
It's what it kind of sounds like. But that fight was a go. Even like Marlon Vera went on the MMA and said like, yes, we signed the contract. Like, it's happening. I know in the early stages, there were like social media accounts reporting the fight. So I was told that Cejudo was in a little before the initial reports came out, but it wasn't like 100% done. We couldn't fully confirm it. So this is the fight, and Cejudo. The big thing about this card in particular for Cejudo was that I think it was like the 10 or 15 year anniversary, August 19th, with the date of that Boston card, when he won the gold medal. So he wanted to fight on that card because it was on like the anniversary of when he won the Olympic gold medal. So I think maybe just his heart wanted it more than the rest of his body and than his shoulder could actually take. And then by the time you kind of had to go into that next gear to go from, all right, we're just getting in shape and getting reps to, all right, now we're in a training camp, he just couldn't do it. That's kind of what it sounds like to me. But who replaced Cejudo? Cejudo wants Petr Yan. I just don't see it happening. I don't think that fight happens. I would love to see it. But let me ask you this. True or false, Marlon Vera is still fighting August 19th?
I'm going to go false. False.
You're going false. I will say true. I think it is imperative that he fights on this card. And it doesn't have to be against a top 5 guy. He has to fight on this card. He has to be in that building with Sean O'Malley, because if Sean O'Malley wins that belt and Cheeto beats whoever he fights, you bet your ass the UFC is going to book that fight. Sean O'Malley, Cheeto Vera 2 for the title. That's the biggest fight you can make in this division. It makes no sense to book it now. And even if Sean O'Malley wins and Cheeto doesn't fight on that card, could the UFC still make it? Yes. Have they made fights like this? Yes. But at least Cheeto getting some kind of a win and getting on the mic and calling for Sean if he wins means more to build the fight. So I think he has to fight on this card. Whether it's a Ricky Simone, Chris Gutierrez,
there's so
Jonathan
many 35ers.
Martinez type, like somebody like that, bottom end 35er, Victor Henry.
Yeah,
even,
I was thinking Victor Henry.
Somebody...
I was just talking to Victor yesterday. I was like, hey.
I mean, Rob Font's fighting Song Yadong, so you can't maybe put Song Yadong, maybe just throw Song Yadong in the fight and then give Rob somebody else.
Yeah, it would be unfair to one of those guys, but I was actually about to suggest that I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC rips apart one of those 35 fights that are already on the card, the Font Song or the Garbrandt Batista. I'm not going to say they're going to book Vera Garbrandt, but maybe Vera Batista. I don't know. But I could see one of those fights being ripped apart and them finding a replacement for those guys. But you know what? Now that I'm looking at the card again, and seeing how it's such a bantamweight heavy card, yeah, I do kind of change my answer. I do think Vera will be on that card because it's very important to kind of build the drama of that fight week. But if you don't take Vera off that card, it takes away a lot of the fun drama, I think. And that's what the UFC is good at selling.
And Rob fighting at least for the people who are buying tickets, Rob Font just fighting anybody on that card will make the Boston fans happy. So, I mean, I love Rob Font versus Song Yudong, but if they put Song up against Cheeto and they gave Rob like another fun guy, I don't think anybody would really complain about that.
I don't think so either.
But yeah, I don't know. You know what would be awesome? Let's do what I think would be fun. Give Song Yudong to Cheeto and give Dominic Cruz a bunch of money give Dominic Cruz a bunch of money to fight Rob Font and do Rob Font Dominic Cruz on that card. That would be a cool fight.
You should have a matchmaking podcast, sir. I like that. I like that. Oh yeah, I completely forgot about Song Vera. Do Song Vera too, because then you have that drama built in because everyone everyone. And I thought Song won the first fight, but I can see that it was very close, and I'm not like, that's not a hill I'll die on, But but Song versus Cheeto 2 will be freaking fantastic. Actually,
that'd be cool.
I kind of like that fight better than the Font fight, and just give Font someone who's good. I don't know.
Yeah, Font Cruz would be super fun.
Font Cruz would be great. Yeah, if they can make it happen, but just Font versus any honestly, Font versus any one in the top 15, I'll be happy with.
Yeah.
Where are we at in the broadcast, sir?
Commercial.
Really? Okay.
We got time, I think. I think we still got like 7 or 8 minutes. And don't worry, folks. We get heavyweights right out the gate. Romanov looking like a peak athlete here. God, I love heavyweight. Did that just come up?
I don't know. Are we behind? Are they fighting? I don't know.
They might be walking. They might be walking.
Oh, okay. Maybe someone. Yeah. Okay. They might be walking. Yeah.
All right.
I have not given up on Romanov. I have not given. I know everyone's kind of jumped off the Romanov train and they're all on the Almeida train, but I'm still hanging on. I'm still hanging on.
I mean, I am certainly not in. I am not in first class on the Romanov train, but
I'm in the caboose. I'm hanging by thread. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the if you buy a ticket right now in the next 5 minutes, it's $3. I'm in that section. I'm in that section. All right. Bonuses. What are we thinking for bonuses?
Oh, sorry. Let me bring up the fight card again. I was looking at 292. Bonuses. Ooh, this one's, man.
It's a tough one.
Like I said, I actually like this fight night card a lot. I honestly do. Performance of the night. Alexander Romanov, of course. He's gonna get a first round submission. He will finish Ivanov, the impossibly durable Ivanov. He will finish him. I'm just saying.
I hope he doesn't. I really hope he doesn't, because I want to see what the second and third round.
Yeah, I kind of. Yeah, just see him. Yeah, totally exhausted. Yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna go Morales. I'm pretty high on Michael Morales for another performance bonus. And for the fight of the night, I am going with, man. I'm going to go Saint Denis and Bonfim. How do you say it? Bonfim? Bonfim, sorry.
Bonfim. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on fight of the night. I think Morales, Max Griffin could be in that conversation as well. You know what? I'll go Morales, Max Griffin as the fight of the night.
Oh, okay.
With performance bonuses, I'll go Bruno Ferreira. I was gonna go Joannison Brito, but I can't unless it's just melting because he's the biggest favorite on the card. You know what? I'm gonna go Kevin Lee. Not confident in that pick at all, but I'm going Kevin Lee. Second round KO.
KO, huh? Wow.
I'm going KO. I'm not confident at all. This is a what they call it, the kids call it dart throw. This is a
Yeah.
dart throw pick right there. I have 5, like I'm picking 5 finishes. Like I'm not even 50%. And I'm not even confident in the 5 finishes that I've chosen. So
I went 8 finishes on my whole card.
oh damn.
Yeah. Like
All
I said,
right.
I like
So
this card.
let's go. It's no, I know. That's why I think we're gonna get a lot of decisions here, but I could be
I
wrong.
understand. But good fights. Good. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
So let's go to the main card picks. We have Bruno Ferreira versus Nursultan Rizabov. I don't even know who this gentleman is, but he's got a ton of fights on his record. 34-8-2. Are we going with Bruno Ferreira to continue on after getting a big knockout of RoboCop in his debut?
I'm going Bruno Ferreira, first round knockout.
Samesies. Benoit Saint-Denis, the big underdog against Ishmael Bonfim. You going with the dog here, Casey, or are you going with the big favorite?
I'm going Bonfim, second round KO, but it will be fire for those 7 minutes.
I'm going Bonfim in a very close decision in a fight that I would not be. If I had to bet on this fight, I'm betting on. I would bet it on Saint-Denis with the value. I think this fight's closer than the odds indicate. We have Ariane Lipski versus Melissa Gatto. I believe Gatto minus 230 to come back on Ariane Lipski plus 195. Casey.
Not too confident in this pick, but I'm going Gatto. Actually, I'm going Gatto first round KO.
Damn. All right.
I'm going kind of the random pick. It's like, you know what? There's always a random kind of like, well, I didn't see that one coming. That's what I'm going. I'm going Gatto first round KO.
I'm going to take a flyer here on Ariane Lipski because I thought she looked really good in her last fight against JJ Aldrich. And I think JJ's pretty solid. JJ gave Erin Blanchfield maybe her toughest fight in the UFC. So I think pretty highly of her, like as a top 20-ish kind of a fighter. And I thought Lipski looked really good in that fight. I think her confidence is growing. I think she's spending a lot of time with Amanda Nunes, who's boosting that confidence up a little bit. So let's see if we can make this a streak. So I'll go Lipski decision, but not very confident in it. Yeah. I'm going Michael Morales decision in a fun competitive fight with Max Griffin, which will be my pick for fight of the night, Casey.
I'm going Michael Morales as second round KO, and what I picked as the performance of the night.
I'm very interested in your pick here. Damir Ismagulov versus Grant Dawson, co-main event. Damir Ismagulov, small favorite, according to DraftKings, minus 120. The comeback on Grant Dawson, plus 100. Who gets it done?
Ismagulov in a grindy, highly technical decision.
I'm going Grant Dawson. Third round. Did I pick TKO? Third round TKO. I don't know. I'm just super high on him, and I think he makes both
fighters. I'm super high on both fighters. So but I know you're putting a little more weight into the retirement talk. I'm not putting that much weight into it. But we will see. I love this fight. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah. We will know kind of where this fight is going, what this fight's going to look like in the first 6 minutes of it. If Grant Dawson can't get a takedown, it's going to be a tough night for him. But that dude that pressure he puts on is just unbelievable. So main event, Sean Strickland versus Abus Magomedov. Sean Strickland, the favorite, minus 150. The comeback on Magomedov, plus 130. Casey, is this the beginning of top 10 Magomedov? Or is this the driver's seat for Sean Strickland, potentially taking that, whatever he's driving, the 1988 Ford Mustang to Sydney, Australia?
I am getting all aboard on the Abus bus. Abus bus. First round KO. He would knock out Sean Strickland.
Romanov is in the octagon, and the dude who fought Chase Sherman is not anymore. Jeez.
I love it.
Smokes.
I love it.
He looks like a different person. He looks like a completely different. Look at the graphic. And then look at what this dude looks like.
They did not update the photo of him.
They sure didn't. He had way less hair and just looking felt but not anymore. I just got long hair and just looking.
Yeah, he had like a solid
Look at
4-pack his last time. Now he's just a keg.
Like a different person. I'm picking Romanov to win a decision, and this fight is just going to be super fun in a not really fun way, but we'll see. All right, we're done. You can hit the music. Time for fight.
Wait for the main event. Did you give me a main pick?
Sean. It's dude. Sorry, Sean Strickland doing Sean Strickland things. Wins a decision. Right. 49-46 decision, and in a fight we'll never ever watch again.
We're just
All right, hit the music. Thank you all. Enjoy the fights. We'll be back. It'll be myself and Jed Michoud. Casey will not be on the post-fight show. We will miss him like crazy. And then once it's all over, AK and I back on Sunday for on to the next one. And then we're on the road to International Fight Week, everybody. So thank you all very much. Casey, enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the fights, everybody. And we'll see you later on.